Most people assume that using antibacterial mouthwash and fluoride toothpaste is the best way to keep their mouth clean and healthy. This belief is deeply rooted in conventional dental care practices, but it's actually counterproductive when it comes to supporting the oral microbiome, the community of beneficial and harmful bacteria living in the mouth. When you use antibacterial mouthwash, you're essentially carpet bombing your mouth. It doesn't discriminate between good and bad bacteria. This might feel effective because your mouth tastes clean or fresh afterward, but in reality, you're wiping out a diverse and delicate microbial ecosystem that plays a critical role in your health. The oral microbiome includes hundreds of species of bacteria, many of which perform vital functions. These beneficial microbes help regulate pH levels, inhibit the growth of pathogenic bacteria, and even initiate digestion through enzymatic activity. When you kill them off with broad-spectrum antiseptics found in common mouthwashes, you create an imbalance, a condition called dysbiosis. This imbalance can lead to an overgrowth of harmful bacteria like Streptococcus mutans, which are known to contribute to tooth decay and gum disease. Worse, the inflammation and damage that begins in the mouth can cascade throughout the body. What's important to understand is that the mouth is not isolated from the rest of the body. The health of your gums and teeth is directly connected to systemic health through the bloodstream and lymphatic system. Every time you brush or floss, especially if you have gum inflammation or bleeding, bacteria from your mouth can enter the bloodstream and travel to other parts of the body. Studies have linked poor oral microbiome health with heart disease, diabetes, pregnancy complications, and even Alzheimer's disease. So, when you use something like antibacterial mouthwash every day, thinking you're preventing problems, you could be setting the stage for much larger issues. Now let's look at fluoride. It's marketed as the gold standard for cavity prevention, and yes, it can harden enamel and remineralize early decay. But fluoride doesn't fix the root cause of tooth decay. It simply masks symptoms by chemically reinforcing weakened enamel. The real issue is the acidic environment caused by sugar feeding bacteria. When you allow those bacteria to dominate, by feeding them sugars and removing their competition with fluoride toothpaste and harsh mouthwashes, you create an oral environment where decay continues, just more subtly. Not only that, but fluoride has systemic effects. It can disrupt thyroid function, accumulate in tissues like the pineal gland, and even interfere with neurological development if overexposed during childhood. There's also the issue of how these products alter the pH of the mouth. A healthy oral microbiome thrives in a slightly alkaline environment. Antibacterial mouthwash, along with sugary diets and acidic drinks, shift this balance toward acidity. This promotes demineralization of teeth and favors acid-loving pathogens. Over time, this leads to more plaque buildup and gum irritation and an increased risk of cavities and periodontal disease. The irony is that people often respond by brushing more, rinsing more, and increasing their use of these products, digging themselves deeper into the cycle. The solution is to shift away from these harsh, one-size-fits-all products and move toward practices that support the natural microbial balance. Choosing toothpaste without fluoride, triclosan, or sodium lauryl sulfate is a good start. Look for mineral-based options that contain hydroxyapatite, which naturally remineralizes teeth without disrupting the microbiome. Ditch the alcohol-based mouthwashes and replace them with mild herbal rinses or even just filtered water with a pinch of baking soda to restore a healthy pH. The goal is not sterilization, it's restoration. A balanced oral microbiome defends you 24/7. It communicates with your immune system, regulates inflammation, and even affects the way you taste and digest food. When you preserve it through gentle, supportive hygiene and proper nutrition, you not only improve your dental health, you reduce your risk of chronic diseases that seem unrelated but often begin right there in your mouth. Antibacterial products and fluoride are not inherently evil, but they're overused and misapplied. The modern mouth needs a smarter, more holistic approach. one that works with your biology, not against it. Using natural oral products is one of the most effective and low-risk ways to support the health of your oral microbiome. Most commercial oral care products, including mainstream toothpaste and mouthwash, are designed to create a sterile environment in the mouth. But your mouth is not supposed to be sterile. It's supposed to have a balanced ecosystem of bacteria that play essential roles in digestion, immune defense, and even hormone regulation. When you switch to natural products, you stop stripping away the protective layer of good bacteria and start promoting an environment that keeps harmful microbes in check. A critical shift involves replacing fluoride toothpaste with one that contains hydroxyapatite. Hydroxyapatite is a naturally occurring mineral form of calcium apatite, and it makes up about 97% of your tooth enamel. Unlike fluoride, which strengthens teeth by creating a hard surface layer that's actually foreign to the body, hydroxyapatite directly replenishes the mineral structure of the enamel. It works by filling in microscopic holes and smoothing out rough areas, which not only strengthens the teeth, but also reduces the risk of cavities. The best part is that hydroxyapatite does this without altering the mouth's microbiome or interfering with beneficial bacteria. In addition to hydroxyapatite, a good natural toothpaste may also contain ingredients like xylitol, calcium carbonate, bentonite clay, or essential oils like peppermint, clove, or tea tree. These ingredients help clean the teeth, reduce inflammation, and inhibit the growth of bad bacteria without wiping out the good ones. Xylitol, for example, is a sugar alcohol that bacteria can't ferment. This starves cavity-causing bacteria and helps maintain a more neutral pH in the mouth. Bentonite clay can bind to toxins and heavy metals while polishing the enamel. Clove oil has antimicrobial properties that target harmful bacteria but are gentle enough to leave the microbiome intact. Another useful addition is trace minerals. These can be applied directly to the teeth by adding a few drops of liquid trace minerals to your toothbrush or mixing them into your toothpaste. Minerals like calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus are essential for rebuilding enamel, but they're often missing from the modern diet and absent from processed oral care products. Reintroducing these minerals can support remineralization and help reduce tooth sensitivity, which is often a sign of enamel erosion or thinning dentin. Using the right toothbrush also makes a difference. Soft, bristled brushes are gentle on the gums and enamel but still effective when used with the right technique. Harsh brushing or hard bristles can damage the enamel and irritate the gum line, creating an entry point for harmful bacteria. Brushing too hard can also create gum recession, exposing the roots of the teeth, which are much more vulnerable to decay. Many people think they need to scrub aggressively to get their mouth clean, but this only disrupts the protective barrier that beneficial bacteria create. Another key component of natural oral care is avoiding ingredients like sodium lauryl sulfate, SLS, triclosan, artificial sweeteners, and synthetic colors. SLS is a foaming agent that can irritate the mouth and trigger canker sores. Triclosan, once common in antibacterial toothpaste, has been linked to hormone disruption and antibiotic resistance. These ingredients may give the impression of cleanliness, but they contribute to inflammation, microbial imbalance, and systemic toxicity. Natural products avoid these additives and instead use plant-based cleansers, essential oils, and natural thickeners that support rather than suppress the body's defenses. It's also worth noting the role of pH balance in the mouth. The ideal oral pH is slightly alkaline, around 7.4. Many processed oral care products, especially whitening pastes or acidic rinses, lower the pH of the mouth and create a breeding ground for acid-loving bacteria. Natural products often include alkaline ingredients like baking soda or mineral salts that help restore the pH and discourage harmful bacterial growth. Keeping the pH in the optimal range protects the enamel from demineralization and supports a stable, diverse microbiome. Finally, natural oral care is about consistency and intention. It's not just about what you brush with, it's about creating a daily ritual that supports your mouth's natural ecology. Brushing twice a day, flossing gently with non-toxic floss, and avoiding snacking between meals all contribute to maintaining microbial balance. When you switch to natural oral products, you stop waging war on your mouth and start working with your body's biology. The result is not only healthier teeth and gums, but a stronger immune system, better digestion, and reduced risk of chronic disease that often begins silently in the oral cavity. Oil pulling is one of the oldest natural oral care techniques, yet it's often overlooked in modern dental routines. Originating from Ayurvedic medicine, oil pulling involves swishing oil, typically coconut oil, in the mouth for about 10 to 20 minutes. This practice may seem simple, but the effects on oral health and the microbiome are profound. Coconut oil contains lauric acid, which has potent antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties. When swished around the mouth, the oil binds to toxins, harmful bacteria, and debris, effectively pulling them out from between the teeth, under the gum line, and even from the surface of the tongue. The viscosity of the oil allows it to reach into areas that a toothbrush or floss cannot, making it a valuable addition to any oral care regimen. What makes oil pulling particularly unique is that it doesn't kill all bacteria indiscriminately the way antiseptic mouthwashes do. Instead, it supports a healthier balance by targeting pathogenic bacteria that tend to dominate in people with gum disease, tooth decay, or bad breath. For example, studies have shown that oil pulling can reduce levels of Streptococcus mutans, a key contributor to cavities. Over time, this reduction in harmful bacteria leads to less plaque buildup, improved gum health, and reduced bleeding and inflammation. Many people who incorporate oil pulling report their teeth feeling cleaner and their breath smelling fresher, even after the first few uses. A major benefit of oil pulling is its impact on systemic inflammation. The mouth is a direct gateway into the bloodstream, and chronic gum inflammation has been linked to various diseases like cardiovascular problems, insulin resistance, and even autoimmune conditions. By reducing the microbial load and inflammatory response in the mouth, oil pulling indirectly supports the body's overall immune system. The less the immune system is activated by oral bacteria, the more energy it has to deal with other issues. In this way, oil pulling becomes not just an oral practice, but a whole body wellness strategy. To get the most out of oil pulling, it should be done consistently. Ideally first thing in the morning, before drinking or eating anything, 1 tablespoon of cold-pressed organic coconut oil is all that's needed. It's important to swish gently, not vigorously, allowing the oil to glide through all areas of the mouth. After 10 to 20 minutes, the oil should be spit out into a trash bin, not the sink, since oil can clog plumbing, and the mouth should be rinsed with warm water or salt water. Brushing afterward completes the routine by removing any remaining residue. Adding essential oils like clove or tea tree to the coconut oil can enhance the antimicrobial effect. Clove oil in particular is powerful against oral pathogens and can help with gum sensitivity. However, only a drop or two should be added to avoid overwhelming the oral tissues. Some people also alternate coconut oil with sesame oil or sunflower oil, both of which have their own benefits, but coconut oil remains the most popular due to its taste and additional health properties. Oil pulling can also contribute to whitening the teeth naturally. As the oil removes stains and bacteria, the surface of the enamel becomes cleaner and more reflective, which gives the appearance of whiter teeth over time. This happens without the use of bleaching agents, which often damage enamel and irritate the gums. It's a gentle, sustainable approach to oral hygiene that aligns with the body's natural healing mechanisms. What makes oil pulling even more powerful is when it's combined with a holistic lifestyle, a nutrient-dense diet low in refined sugar and rich in vitamins A, DK2, and minerals like magnesium and phosphorus supports strong teeth and healthy saliva. Saliva is the mouth's natural defense system. It contains enzymes, buffers pH, and helps remineralize enamel. Oil pulling doesn't replace brushing or flossing, but it significantly amplifies their benefits when used as part of a larger routine. It enhances oral detoxification, reduces inflammation, and helps create an environment where beneficial bacteria thrive while harmful ones are kept in check. Even though oil pulling is a time commitment, especially in a busy modern schedule, it's one of the few oral care practices that addresses the root cause of dental problems rather than just treating the symptoms. Most conventional products aim to kill bacteria or mask bad breath, but oil pulling restores balance. That balance is what keeps the oral microbiome functioning optimally and helps protect the entire body from the effects of chronic low-grade infections that start in the mouth. Taking oral-specific probiotics is a strategic and highly effective way to support the balance of the oral microbiome and prevent common dental issues such as gum disease, bad breath, and tooth decay. While most people are familiar with the benefits of gut probiotics, few realize that the mouth has its own distinct ecosystem of microbes that plays a critical role in both oral and systemic health. Introducing beneficial bacteria directly into the mouth through targeted probiotics helps shift the microbial population in favor of species that protect the gums, reduce inflammation, and suppress the growth of pathogens. The oral cavity is home to hundreds of bacterial species, and just like in the gut, some are helpful while others are harmful if allowed to dominate. The problem arises when poor diet, stress, toxins, or aggressive oral hygiene practices disrupt this balance. Antibacterial mouthwashes, for example, often kill off helpful strains that produce protective enzymes or inhibit pathogenic bacteria. This creates space for opportunistic microbes like Porphyromonas gingivalis, Fusobacterium nucleatum, or Streptococcus mutans to overgrow. These harmful bacteria contribute to plaque formation, gum inflammation, cavities, and even systemic inflammation when they enter the bloodstream. Oral probiotics work differently than gut probiotics. Instead of traveling through the digestive tract, they are administered directly in the mouth, usually in the form of lozenges, chewable tablets, or dissolvable powders. This allows the beneficial strains to colonize the surfaces of the tongue, cheeks, gums, and teeth, where they can begin competing with pathogenic bacteria for space and nutrients. Certain strains, such as Streptococcus salivarius K12 and M18, are especially valuable. K12 produces bacteriocins, natural antimicrobial compounds that inhibit the growth of bad bacteria linked to strep throat, tonsillitis, and bad breath. M18, on the other hand, produces enzymes that break down dental plaque and help protect the enamel. Regular use of these oral, specific strains has been shown in studies to reduce markers of gum inflammation, decrease plaque levels, and improve breath quality. These benefits occur not because the probiotics are sterilizing the mouth, but because they are reestablishing microbial harmony. The concept is simple. Introduce enough good bacteria, and they will crowd out the bad ones through a natural process called competitive exclusion. This is much more sustainable and safer than using chemical agents, which often cause more imbalance and resistance over time. Another advantage of oral probiotics is their impact on immune function. The mucosal surfaces of the mouth are one of the body's first lines of defense. A well-balanced oral microbiome helps regulate immune activity, reducing the risk of chronic low-grade inflammation. This is significant because oral inflammation doesn't stay localized. It can contribute to systemic problems like heart disease, diabetes, and even neurodegenerative conditions. By supporting a healthier bacterial environment in the mouth, probiotics help reduce that inflammatory burden. Children and people with frequent throat infections or dental issues may benefit significantly from oral probiotics, since the mouth is a shared microbial space through food, utensils, and close contact. Restoring a healthy microbiome can also help reduce the spread of pathogenic bacteria within households. Probiotics are generally safe and can be used long-term without side effects, although they should be stored properly to maintain potency. It's also important to choose high-quality products that are specifically designed for oral health, not just general digestive health. as the strains required are different. Timing and consistency are key. Oral probiotics should be taken after brushing and flossing, preferably before bed, so that the bacteria have time to adhere to oral surfaces without being washed away by food or drink. It's also important not to rinse the mouth or drink water immediately after use. Over time, the new colonies begin to establish themselves and create a protective biofilm that helps maintain microbial balance. Diet also plays a supportive role. Sugar and processed foods promote the growth of acid-producing bacteria, which can override the benefits of probiotics. A low-sugar, nutrient-rich diet provides the foundation for beneficial bacteria to thrive. Foods rich in polyphenols, like green tea, berries, and herbs, also support the oral microbiome by inhibiting the growth of pathogens and feeding the good microbes. Chewing fibrous vegetables like celery, carrots, or parsley can help stimulate saliva, which is essential for transporting minerals and buffering the pH of the mouth. Incorporating oral probiotics into a daily routine doesn't just help with immediate symptoms like bad breath or bleeding gums. It lays the groundwork for long-term oral health, reduces dependence on harsh chemical treatments, and supports the immune system from one of its most vulnerable entry points. Cleaning up the diet is one of the most foundational steps in supporting the oral microbiome and preventing oral and systemic disease. The food you eat not only nourishes your body, it directly feeds the bacteria in your mouth. Every bite you take influences which microbial species thrive and which ones die off. When your diet is filled with sugar, refined carbohydrates, and ultra-processed foods, you're essentially fueling the growth of acid-producing bacteria like Streptococcus mutans and Lactobacillus, which are known contributors to tooth decay, gum disease, and oral inflammation. These bacteria ferment sugars, producing acids that erode enamel, irritate the gums, and create an environment hostile to beneficial microbes. On the flip side, when you eat a nutrient-dense, low-sugar, anti-inflammatory diet, you support a more alkaline oral environment and promote the growth of protective bacterial strains. This shift reduces plaque buildup, minimizes gum inflammation, and leads to better breath, stronger teeth, and a healthier mouth overall. The connection between diet and oral health is often overlooked in mainstream dental care, which tends to focus on brushing and flossing as the primary tools for prevention. But the truth is, no amount of brushing can undo the damage caused by a poor diet. One of the worst offenders in modern diets is refined sugar. It's found in obvious places like candy and soda, but also hidden in sauces, breads, cereals, and flavored drinks. Sugar feeds harmful bacteria almost instantly. Within seconds of consuming it, the pH in the mouth drops, creating an acidic environment that softens enamel and gives pathogenic microbes a competitive edge. When this happens repeatedly throughout the day, especially with frequent snacking, the oral microbiome never has a chance to stabilize. Over time, the mouth becomes dominated by acid-tolerant bacteria and beneficial species are crowded out. Processed carbohydrates like white bread, crackers, and chips act similarly to sugar once they are broken down by enzymes in the saliva. These starches quickly convert to glucose and contribute to the same pH drop and bacterial imbalance. In contrast, whole food carbohydrates from vegetables, low glycemic fruits, and some whole grains digest more slowly and don't cause the same rapid acidification in the mouth. Fiber-rich foods also encourage saliva production, which helps buffer acidity and supply minerals for tooth remineralization. One of the best dietary strategies for oral health is increasing the intake of raw, crunchy vegetables such as carrots, celery, and cucumbers. These foods mechanically clean the teeth, stimulate saliva, and provide polyphenols and prebiotics that nourish beneficial bacteria. Leafy greens like kale and spinach are rich in calcium and magnesium, which are critical for remineralizing enamel and supporting bone structure. Fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, and kefir also introduce natural probiotics that can benefit both the gut and oral microbiomes. Healthy fats play a critical role in reducing inflammation, both in the mouth and systemically. Omega-3 fatty acids from wild-caught fish flax seeds or chia seeds help calm immune overreactions and promote tissue healing. Saturated fats from grass-fed butter or coconut oil in moderation can provide fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K2, which are essential for calcium absorption and tooth mineralization. Vitamin K2 in particular activates osteocalcin, a protein that helps bind calcium into bones and teeth rather than allowing it to deposit in soft tissues. Protein-rich foods such as pastured meats, eggs, and legumes supply amino acids needed for tissue repair and immune function. Collagen-rich foods or collagen supplements can also help rebuild gum tissue and the connective tissues that hold teeth in place. Bone broth is a traditional remedy that supports not only gut health, but also oral health, offering minerals, collagen, and gelatin in an easily absorbable form. Hydration is another critical but underestimated part of the oral health equation. Water helps flush away food particles and acids, and it supports saliva production. Saliva is the body's natural defense mechanism in the mouth. It contains enzymes that break down food, antimicrobial compounds that control bacteria, and minerals that help repair enamel. Drinking enough water, especially between meals, helps maintain this essential fluid and keeps the oral microbiome in balance. Avoiding frequent snacking, especially on sugary or starchy foods, gives the mouth time to return a neutral pH between meals. This resting period is when remineralization happens and inflammation can subside. Intermittent fasting or spacing meals several hours apart can help reinforce this natural rhythm. Even chewing sugar-free gum made with xylitol between meals can reduce bacterial load and stimulate protective saliva. Changing the diet may not provide instant results like a mouthwash or a dental cleaning, but it delivers long-term protection by addressing the root cause of microbial imbalance and tissue damage. A clean, anti-inflammatory diet not only improves oral health, but strengthens immunity, improves digestion, and reduces the risk of chronic diseases that often begin with silent inflammation in the mouth. Tongue scraping and the occasional use of diluted hydrogen peroxide as a rinse are two simple yet highly effective practices that can dramatically improve oral hygiene, reduce bad breath, and support a healthy oral microbiome. Most people brush and floss, but they often neglect the tongue, which acts like a sponge for bacteria, food particles, dead cells, and toxins. Over time, a biofilm forms on the surface of the tongue, especially toward the back where brushing usually doesn't reach. This white or yellowish coating is more than just unpleasant. It's a major source of bad breath and a breeding ground for pathogenic bacteria. When this biofilm isn't removed regularly, it contributes to microbial imbalance in the mouth. Harmful bacteria can migrate from the tongue to the teeth and gums, exacerbating plaque buildup, inflammation, and the risk of gum disease. Tongue scraping is a mechanical solution that removes this layer and immediately reduces the bacterial load in the mouth. Unlike brushing the tongue with a toothbrush, which often just smears the coating around, using a dedicated tongue scraper, preferably made from copper or stainless steel, effectively lifts and removes the entire layer. It's best done in the morning before drinking or eating, when the buildup is usually at its peak after a night of reduced saliva flow. The benefits of tongue scraping extend beyond fresh breath. By lowering the presence of harmful bacteria in the mouth, it supports a more balanced oral microbiome and allows beneficial species to flourish. This helps prevent issues like gum inflammation, tooth decay, and systemic problems linked to chronic oral infections. It also improves taste sensation, which can become dulled when the tongue is coated with biofilm. A clean tongue allows taste buds to function properly, enhancing the enjoyment of food and potentially supporting more mindful eating habits. The practice takes less than a minute and involves gently dragging the scraper from the back of the tongue to the front several times, rinsing it off between scrapes. It's important to be gentle to avoid irritating the tongue's surface. Some people may notice a mild gag reflex initially, but this usually diminishes with regular practice. After scraping, rinsing the mouth with water or a saltwater solution helps remove any residual debris. The second part of this oral care strategy is the controlled use of diluted hydrogen peroxide as a mouth rinse. Hydrogen peroxide is a natural oxidizer that can kill harmful bacteria by releasing oxygen molecules. Most oral pathogens thrive in low oxygen or anaerobic environments, so this release of oxygen creates a hostile environment for them. When used properly, hydrogen peroxide can reduce gum inflammation, whiten teeth, and decrease plaque buildup without damaging the beneficial bacteria that reside on the surface of the oral tissues. To use it safely, hydrogen peroxide should be at a concentration of 3% or less and diluted in a 1:1 ratio with water. This solution can be swished in the mouth for about 30 seconds, then spit out. It should not be swallowed. The rinse can be used once or twice a week as needed. Overuse can lead to irritation of the mucous membranes or increased sensitivity in some individuals, so moderation is key. People with existing oral sensitivities should start with shorter swishing times or a more diluted mixture to see how their tissues respond. One of the lesser-known benefits of hydrogen peroxide rinsing is its ability to help break up biofilm and reduce volatile sulfur compounds, which are often the cause of halitosis. It can also aid in the healing of minor cuts or ulcers in the mouth by disinfecting the area and promoting oxygenation of the tissues. However, it's not a substitute for consistent daily oral hygiene, and it works best when used as part of a broader routine that includes brushing, flossing, and tongue scraping. Combining tongue scraping with occasional hydrogen peroxide rinses creates a powerful 1-2 punch for oral health. The mechanical action of scraping removes the buildup that harbors bacteria, while the chemical action of the rinse oxygenates and sanitizes the mouth without sterilizing it completely. This dual approach reduces the burden on the immune system, lowers inflammation, and supports the natural defenses of the oral cavity. It also enhances the effectiveness of other oral hygiene practices by reducing the layers of debris and plaque that can shield bacteria from toothbrushes or rinses. These practices are simple, inexpensive, and easy to integrate into any routine, yet their impact on the oral microbiome and overall health is profound. Many people who adopt them notice improvements not only in their oral health, but also in energy levels, digestion, and immune function as the body becomes less burdened by chronic, low-grade oral infections. The mouth is the entry point to the entire gastrointestinal tract and circulatory system, so keeping it clean and balanced is a foundational part of whole body health.